Hey, really quickly, I want to talk about something. And the question is, are people on Mars and don't know it? Meaning, have their consciousness been transferred to Mars? And you very well could be, because a lot of people don't really, I'm saying a lot of people, I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of people kind of just go along with the flow. There's a lot of people that you can't even have these kind of conversations with. So who's to say that their consciousness can't be transferred to other places without them even knowing it? Because some of us know it's been hard for us to have certain conversations with even family or people that it's just hard to have those type of conversations. Uh, I remember in 2019, or it's supposed to be 2019, and I was just shown in my mind's eye that it was actually 1983, like they had taken us back to 1983, even though we were acting like the year was 2018. They had put us, in 1983 around that time. You know, uh, I've always seen where the moon is looking different, where we see something outside, because that's a projection from that satellite that I've seen. Um, And so it's shown one way outside, and so a lot of people do their magic according to whatever's shown outside, whatever outside is. But then I'm shown that the moon is something totally different, and the people, the so-called powers that be, and they probably are the powers that be. If people don't know their own power, then they are the powers that be. But they are going by different moon cycles, because the actual moon cycles is different than what we see outside. I was shown that the moon, like we think it's a super moon. Well, I'm shown sometimes it's something different going on, and that's how they're able to control the masses like that, because people don't see the truth. Everything is a deception. So anyway, going into, I had this. So I had a dream last night and the night before. Night before, I had this dream. And I was in this room. It was a bunch of females, and I forgot what we were doing. We were like writing things down. We were like standing up, but writing a bunch of things down, how we thought or whatever. I can't remember exactly, but we were just writing stuff down, almost like some kind of creative writing, but writing our feelings and stuff like that. It was a bunch of women, a bunch of brown women. I don't know if it was any men in there, but it was a bunch of brown women, and it was a brown teacher. And it was a brown lady with glasses. And I heard one of the students say something about how she'd been doing this for 34 years, how she's been instructed for 34 years, and she's good at it, and she should, in so many words, get her flowers. That's not the exact words, but in so many words, get her flowers for her doing what she has done for so long. And then she said, yeah, but let's see if they say that on Mars. Like, okay. Let's see if they say that on Mars. And it's like, okay, why, that, first of all, yeah, it stood out that she said Mars. That lets you know, that let me know, like, okay, so she's saying that she's going to end up going to Mars. But why would she say Mars? What is it about? Now I'm saying, what is it about Mars? Because we have transferred to different places. I said before, one time, that I believe we were on Saturn too. So we've transferred to different places. Our consciousness have gone to different places without really knowing it. But say, well, she say Mars. Mars is, I know, is a war type planet. It's a war type planet. And it's probably more. I feel like if people felt like they experienced toxic masculinity and toxic femininity, just toxic all the way, if they have experienced toxic masculinity, if they feel like they experienced that on Earth, Mars might be a whole new ball game. Whole new ball game. That's the way the feeling came to me when she said that. That's the feeling that came to me. Now, last night I had a dream. that this was this advertisement of restaurants in Mars. And then next thing you know, I was in Mars, but I knew I was only visiting Mars. But I knew I was in Mars. In my dream, I was on Mars. But I knew I was only visiting. Um, Other people, I feel like they knew where they were, but they didn't want to go back to Earth because they said Earth is falling apart, so they don't want to go back to Earth. They want to stay on Mars. It looked just like United States of America. Looked just like United States of America. Same houses, same the way downtown looked in the major cities. Um, it looks like United States of America, but it was Mars. It was Mars. And so I know that I was only visiting. I knew I was going to be going back to Earth. I did not want to leave Earth. I want to go back to my original home, which is not even Earth consciousness. It's not my original consciousness. So Earth is not even where I'm staying. Earth is not even where I'm staying. But these people are satisfied on Mars because I believe they knew they were on Mars. As a matter of fact, I'm almost 100% sure that most of them knew they were on Mars. People don't know they're on Mars right now, but after a while they might realize they're on Mars and they're going to be okay with it. Okay? But anyway, and I was like thinking to myself, the women are going to be horrible over here. If they were the slaves to patriarchy over here on Earth, which what I call it, it's been a matriarchy all the whole time because a lot of times this masculine can't do what they do without the feminine anyway. So I always call it a matriarchy, but it's looked at as a patriarchy. Now, here we go. Earth consciousness, the divine feminine is coming in. Some of these masculines and some feminines don't want that to happen. So what do? They transfer people consciousness to Mars, and a lot of people are not aware enough to know that something like that happened because you can't even have that kind of conversation with most people. You can't even have that conversation with most people. The divine feminine on the earth consciousness is coming in to their earth consciousness. And I guess because they couldn't kill everybody they need to kill in 2023, and that includes the masculine too. I mean, I would say divine masculine, but that kind of goes under divine feminine. Feminine is not about being what looks like a female. It's not about, so sometimes that divine masculine can go under that divine feminine too. It's not about looking like a woman. But they couldn't stop it. They wanted to take people out before a certain time, and they probably weren't successful doing it. They knew they weren't going to be able to do it, so they transferred people's consciousness to Mars. That's just my theory. Okay? Because the divine feminine ain't coming in over there no time soon. And it's like I can't imagine what the women are going to be like over there, because if they were like slaves to, almost kind of like slaves to men over here, they're going to be worse over there. I wouldn't want to put up with the women on Mars. They're going to be awful. They're going to be awful. I don't know if you've seen Total Recall, but to me, with Arnold Schwarzenegger, but to me, like when I look at those women, it's like they couldn't help but to be how they were. I mean, look at where they were. They were on Mars. Very warlike planet, a planet of war. Very, very masculine. Earth consciousness is supposed to be feminine. Earth consciousness is feminine. Mars is masculine. It's going to be awful. And that's where a lot of people are and don't realize it. Anyway, I might have something later on to say. It's something going on with some mall in Miami about some big shadow, tall beings running around. Anyway, we've seen that. Dr. Delbert Blair, we've seen that before. You know how, people who's physically are not fully developed. You know, you see them in your side, off your periphery and stuff, like these little shadow figures. I used to see that years ago, like 2013, 2012, and I remember being at work in places, and I used to see these little shadow beings off my periphery and stuff. You know, like blending in with what people call 4D. But anyway, but now it's getting rough on folks, not because it's not subtle. It's getting rough. So anyway, that's kind of what I've been dealing with for the past couple of years anyway. And it's like now that I hear about it, it's like, well, this is what I've been saying the whole time, and it just sounded like I was crazy and stuff. And but this has been what I've been dealing with this whole time. And so now what other people have to go through, it's like, well, yeah, yeah, you know, I've been through that. I had to deal with that. Anyway, because now the shadows are chasing after people, I guess. But anyway, um, that is it, and I will talk later.